relatively comfortable win tonight. How does that feel?
It always feels good to score goals, but coach like me this early in the season probably never satisfied. So comfortable win, still looking at things we need to get better at, still looking for our first shutout. So certainly there's things, we'll go back to work on. But yeah, I think the thing I'm comfortable with is that we're finding ways to score goals.
Okay, you mentioned you're still looking for some things to improve in. Do you have any specific things you want to mention?
But we still got to get better in the back. I think we just gave up, too many opportunities, where it's just sort of a lack of coordination, which is part communication and part understanding. And we're getting better. We're certainly better today than we were against Notre Dame, and better, I think, even than we were on Friday. But it's still something that we've can't give a team 15 shots and expect to win, a lot of games at the next level. So that's certainly something we'll continue to work on.
You scored a very early goal today. What effect did that have on the team?
I think getting the first goal always sort of relaxes us. I think that's always, and I think that's probably true with most teams. It just gives you a sense of composure that allows you to kind of then start to play your game, And so I think getting the early goal, and it was good. It didn't relax us enough that we didn't continue to battle, but that certainly set the tone for the game.
Both coaching staffs certainly had a couple of issues with officiating. Do you have any opinions you want to venture about?
I think, we always, want things to go our way, and there's certain things. And, once the game is over, I think, I'll go back and watch the tape. And if there's something, we'll discuss it. But, I think there were things tonight that both of us disagreed with. But I don't know that a referee ever does a game that there's not something that both coaches disagree with at some point. I think we were both pretty vocal about our disagreements tonight for sure.
Yeah, and the team now has 16 goals in the last 3 games. How long do you think they can keep this up?
I think because it's coming from a lot of different sources, certainly, Janelle was able to get 3 tonight, but it's certainly easier to keep it up when it's a lot of different people, when it's one person and teams get to focus on that. It's certainly harder to keep that kind of streak going. But the fact that we've got multiple people scoring and scoring in different ways against different opponents certainly bodes well for us continuing to do that. But defenses are going to start to scout and do things, and, I think it'll be harder and harder as the season goes on. Just like us, teams are going to get better defensively, and that means we're going to have to be better offensively to continue that streak.
Barring the controversial late goal, you guys pretty much had a clean sheet going to the end. What do you think was key in achieving this?
Yeah, I guess pretty much still isn't good enough. But, I think, like I said, we were better defensively tonight in terms of our coordination. Still not as good as we can be, but our defensive presence in the midfield, and certainly the communication and coordination of our backs. We're squeezing and dropping together, whereas early in the season we were sort of individually, and so our shape in the back was all over the place, so players could run in behind us, and there was offside space behind people they didn't know about, and people weren't talking about runners that were running in. I think we're getting better at that. They're starting to get a feel for each other and understand when somebody's dropping and when somebody's stepping, and we've got to continue to get even better at that.
You mentioned players running in behind. I noticed you guys were playing kind of an offside trap with the backline playing a little higher. Is that a concern with faster teams?
Well, I don't think really we're playing an offside trap, but we're certainly trying not to drop and let there be onside space behind a back who steps. So I think that's one of the coordination things that we've certainly been working on. It's not really a trap, but you certainly have to use offsides to keep your team connected. If you drop with somebody who's making a run in behind you all the time, you can get really stretched, and then it's hard to get pressure on the ball. So I think we've done a good job of figuring out that balance and not just tracking with a player who's running in behind us when we don't have to.
Today you were without Captain Vanessa DiBernardo, but you didn't seem to miss her much. Talk about the depth of this roster and how that influenced this game.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, especially on the offensive side of things. We've got a lot of depth and experience. Janelle Flaws is, eligibility-wise a sophomore. Experience-wise, she's been around for a long time, and having those kinds of players that are your depth on the roster is certainly helpful. We also have some freshmen who are stepping up and providing us some great depth. Casey Conine, played, I thought, much better tonight than she did on Friday night. She's starting to get her feet wet as a freshman, and so this roster certainly goes pretty deep, and especially on the attacking side of things.
You mentioned the defensive pairing, I guess, with Christina Farrell and Casey Conine. How do you see that developing over the season?
It's a partnership, I think, that really is going to continue to develop. I think they've got different strengths, which makes them a good tandem. But they've got to learn to play together and read each other. And certainly that's true with Cassidy on one side and Amy Fair right now on the other side. So I think that foursome is sort of a series of partnerships, and all those partnerships are getting better and better as time goes on. And certainly Farrell and Conine will, Casey's great in the air, and Farrell's got pace to chase people down, and so those different strengths I think will turn out to be a great duo if as we continue to work on that.
Another game today, just like Friday, 20 players saw on field time. Is there any reason behind that?
Well, certainly it's the depth of our roster. We've got 24 players who work hard every time they step on the field, and we think we can put them on the field and maintain the level of play. And I think you've seen that over this weekend that we've got a roster of players that are here to play and here to compete.